Okay, this is going to be a very fun video. This was put together by Zachary Link, someone who has helped us out a ton. I mean, this is a man that went through and set us up with a beautiful stream setup last year and this upcoming season. And on top of this, if you're over there in our locals community, you've seen him hosting extra Flock Dynasty leagues. I mean, I host my own Flock Dynasty league over there on locals, but the issue is we already have like 25 of them. So I had to say, you know what? We're probably slowing down. We're not going to be able to get that many more going. And he picked up the reins. So if you are over there, a part of the locals community, and you see him posting, say, hey, new Flock League, you can feel free to join it. And if you don't know what locals is, it's essentially Patreon, but we have free content and paid content. So you can join regardless of if you want to pay or not. And a lot of stuff like these leagues are actually going to be free over there on locals, where there'll be some stuff on a paywall like my rankings. But that should be it. Let's go round by round and let's just look at round one. Let's look at Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes going off the board with the 3 first picks. Now, very standard. There's not much to discuss here. It's a Superflex league. You're going to see there are a lot of trades in this league. There are going to be a ton of deals that we need to be tracking as we go through the startup. Where we get to the 104 in these startups is where things begin to get interesting. Now, I will say I am personally sticking it with the elite quarterback. I think at the 104, I'm still going Kyler Murray. I'm still going Joe Burrow. I mean, right after the Browns trade, I was saying I was going Desean Watson. Clearly, I'm looking like an idiot for that now. But I think I'm still going to take one of those elite level quarterbacks because the running backs that you'll have available to you in the second round. And we know that tier drop off at the quarterback position will happen quickly. But if you want to go with Jonathan Taylor, it's up to you. It's really hard to argue against the clear Dynasty running back 1 overall. We have Burrow going directly after, then a couple of the elite level wide receivers with Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Standard. We got Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Desean Watson going at the 110. Now, I am halfway through moving across the country, so I'm having to record this video well in advance. I can't speak on Desean Watson because, hell, 4 days from now, Desean Watson could be in a completely different situation than he is now. I would say at the time of this startup draft, I like the Desean Watson selection at 10. And I'm probably making myself look like an idiot here. Desean Watson's probably someone that you shouldn't be drafting. And I will say, at the time of this recording, Desean Watson is plummeting in those underdog fantasy drafts. I mean, this was a quarterback that was going as a low-end quarterback 1, high-end quarterback 2 in redraft. And now in those redraft leagues that have had over $1 million worth of drafts already, like some very smart drafters are there putting a lot of money on the line. Oh, he's now going as a quarterback 3. He is plummeted. So if the wisdom of the crowds is saying, you know what, Desean Watson probably not playing this year, I probably need to throw in the towel. I mean, at the time of the trade, I said based on what they gave up, it's very unlikely, very, very, very unlikely he's suspended for an entire season. I said it was almost impossible. Well, you should know by now, I'm an idiot. And I will say, if you were to want to draft in a real money fantasy football league this year on Underdog Fantasy, go have some fun. Link in the description, link in the live chat, link in the comment section. When you go sign up for Underdog Fantasy and you use promo code FLOCK, you can get into real money fantasy football drafts. Today, you'll get my Dynasty rankings, my Dynasty rookie rankings. They'll match your deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. Take advantage of that. But let's move on. I already talked too much about Desean Watson. We said we weren't going to say anything. Then Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson here at the very end of the first round. Now, starting off in the second, Jalen Hurts goes to the 2-1. I get it, and I will say, on Underdog Fantasy, in those redraft formats, I am taking Jalen Hurts as a mid-quarterback 1 in fantasy. This was a quarterback that was the quarterback 6 on a points per game base. Like, Jalen Hurts was almost a top 5 option, with his top option being a rookie wide receiver. It was his first season starting, and now you add in A.J. Brown? Like, oh my gosh, Jalen Hurts is going to crush this upcoming season in fantasy football. But I still want to stand by the fact that I am uncertain if Jalen Hurts will have the long-term job security that some of these other quarterbacks have, like a Matthew Stafford, even like a Trey Lance, even though I know that's crazy to say when he's never even started. Y'all know my opinion on Lance. We'll get to him in a second. So personally, I can't take Jalen Hurts here, especially not over someone like Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts going at the 203, CeeDee Lamb at the 202. I would prefer both of those options over Jalen Hurts, even in a Superflex format. Moving on beyond this, you have Cooper Kupp at the 205. I honestly wouldn't even take Kupp here. I think my preferred option would be someone like Najee Harris. With Najee Harris, I think the upcoming season's production is definitely going to favor Cooper Kupp, but you're getting the longevity. Cooper Kupp, while he was drafted in 2017, surprisingly old because this is a wide receiver that stayed 5 years in college. 5 years at Eastern Washington. So if I look up Cooper Kupp's age right now, the man's 29. Taking a 29-year-old wide receiver, while yes, maybe he is the best wide receiver in fantasy, but taking him over a running back going into year 2 that just posted a top 10 finish, I can't get behind the Cooper Kupp selection. I think Najee Harris is the pick there. Stafford, Andrews, Lance going directly after. I'm not going to argue. Like, it's easy for me to argue that you shouldn't have gone Cooper Kupp in favor of Najee Harris, but it's hard for me to argue against one of the quarterbacks just because if you're afraid that you're going to get boxed out of the quarterback position, sure, you can go through and do it. But if we go ahead and if we check out JN's team here, JN took Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford, Trey Lance through the first 3 rounds. So he's setting himself up to possibly make a play later on. But we'll revisit his team near the end of the draft. I've already texted him that I didn't like it, but I'll roast him on the video in front of everyone. But I will say, I love JN. Obviously, he helps us a ton with the Dynasty Flock Leagues. Out in every single live stream. The man has done so much for us. But let's move on. Najee Harris to the 209. Great value with Najee Harris. And this goes back to why I was saying, you know what? Probably not going to take Taylor at 4, and I'm probably going to favor someone like Joe Burrow. I'm probably going to favor someone like Kyler Murray with that pick just because you're getting these massive values. Najee, Swift, Breece Hall, all at the end of round 2. Now, at the 2-3 turn, you have Jalen Waddle going at the 211. I'm not a massive fan of this Waddle selection. I mean, I've been taking Jalen Waddle a ton in redraft leagues because Jalen Waddle is going as a mid-wide receiver 2 there. But to take Waddle over T. Higgins in Dynasty, they're the same age. T. Higgins is in a better situation given the quarterback play and how concentrated the target share will be in Cincinnati between only 3 wide receivers. Like, I'm preferring T. Higgins. It's not even going to be close. I don't think I can take Waddle here at the end of the second. CMC at the 301, up to you. If you have that risk appetite, this is a team that went ahead and took Jefferson in the first, and they take Dalvin Cook at the end of the 3rd. They take Derrick Henry at the end of the 4th. So clearly they build around a win now team. So if you want to push your chips in the middle, you are getting a discount on CMC. Let's skim through these next picks that don't really move the needle. AJ Brown, Deebo Samuel, Lawrence, Joe Mixon, all those look very standard. But then afterwards, Stephon Diggs, T. Higgins. Dear God, Zachary came away with the steal of this draft so far. T. Higgins at the 307. And who was trading with Zachary? How did y'all let this man fleece y'all like this? I don't have the list of trades, but somehow Zachary moved his first round pick and he got 3 extra thirds. 3 extra thirds, an extra 9th. Like, he's coming away with Swift, AJ Brown, Deebo Samuel, T. Higgins, Justin Fields, Tyreek Hill through the first 4 rounds. Oh, that is beautiful. He takes Justin Fields at the 308. With Justin Fields, I've been consistently saying how I think that he was last offseason one of the most overvalued players in Dynasty, if not the most overvalued player in Dynasty based on a couple different factors. And I'll say I still don't like Justin Fields. Look at the situation he's in. Like, dear God, it's gonna be tough for him to overcome that situation. Afterwards, you have Devontae Adams at the 309, so a win now asset, completely standard. Then Drake London at the 310, standard pick, not much to talk about. Austin Eckler, Dalvin Cook. Metcalf at the 401 by JN. DK Metcalf, another player that when he was going in the second round of startups at the beginning of the offseason, one of my least favorite options in fantasy for a multitude of different reasons. But now I feel like the overall Dynasty community has finally caught up to the fact that Metcalf is in a very bad situation this season. a very, very bad situation, but he's an elite level talent. This is someone that has expanded his target share every single season through the first 3 years of his career. So if we're getting him at the 401, this is about where, my opinion, he becomes in play. He becomes a value. You have some young running backs going, Dobbins, Akers, Etienne, all in the same tier for me. Not much to discuss. George Kittle at the 405, Tyreek Hill, Nick Chubb, DJ Moore. Kelce at the 409 does seem a little rich. Like if we're going to go through, if we're going to look at Travis Kelce and the fact that the man this upcoming season is 33. In 2023, you're going to be looking at a 34-year-old wide receiver. Where is he going in Dynasty startups then? Definitely not in top 5 rounds. Probably not in top 6. Probably not in top 7. Like, he is going to plummet in Dynasty value this upcoming season. I love him in redraft. Like, don't get me wrong. But in Dynasty, to take Kelce, even if it's a tight end premium format at the 409, I can't get behind it. I mean, I would easily prefer like Hawkinson at the end of the 5th. I prefer Waller over Kelce. You have Alvin Kamara, Darren Waller, Derrick Henry, Kenneth Walker going directly after this. All standard picks. Derek Carr at the 502. I really like the Derek Carr value. I will point out his contract, and that if you look at the structure, there's not a ton of guaranteed money. I would not be too surprised if this team went through and said, you know what? Yeah, sorry, buddy. Sorry, Derek Carr. If we disappoint over the next 2 seasons, 2023 is your last year as a starter here. That's in the range of outcomes where it simply isn't something you have to worry about with some of these other quarterbacks that are available. And if you do have to worry about it, you're getting them at a discount for that reason. But moving on from Carr, even though great asset for this upcoming year, I still like the value of Derek Carr. Dalton Schultz, Michael Pittman, standard. I would say Schultz probably a little too rich for my liking, but I understand he's in a great situation this upcoming season. We just really need to see him get that contract extension so he can stay in Dallas beyond that. Michael Pittman, 504, very standard. Aaron Rodgers, Mac Jones. Mac Jones was someone that at the beginning of the offseason, I was taking here. I was taking him in the 4th, and then I realized, I was like, you know what? Every time I take Mac Jones in the 4th round, I don't like my team. I think it turns out horribly, but Jones in the 5th, fine value. Saquon Barkley at the 507, a running back drafted in 2018, a running back still on his rookie contract, a running back that has top 5 overall upside this season. Love the Barkley value. Zachary is straight up killing this draft, getting Barkley at the 507. Then you have Jerry Jeudy afterwards. I like the Jerry Jeudy value. Zach Wilson, Kenny Pickett, Hawkinson. And JN says, you know what? Let's push all in. Let's try to monopolize the quarterback position. Let's go ahead and let's take Tua Tagovailoa at the 512. And my issue with taking Tua here, and honestly probably the trades to set up this draft, is even if Tua were to come out in a great situation in Miami, and even if he were to succeed and he's a top 10 quarterback in passing yards this upcoming season, that's possible, right? It's possible. Tua Tagovailoa still does not run the ball. So are you ever going to be able to go through and trade Tua for an elite piece? Like, if we are just skimming through the rest of this board, if he's top 10 in passing yards and he's not running the ball, oh, he's still being outscored by Derek Carr? Derek Carr is going at the beginning of the 5th round. So really, how much space is there for Tua Tagovailoa to increase his dynasty value? He can go up a round or two, but this is my point with this roster. Even if Tua hits, and all of a sudden you can trade him for DJ Moore. You can trade him for Tyreek Hill. You can trade him for Drake London. This is still a team that's outgunned. This is still a team that's running back 1 is James Robinson. So that's my issue. Like, when you monopolize the quarterback position, but you lose so much value through trades, even if your guys hit and you're able to get a nice selling point for those players, you're still behind the 8 ball. Now, let's move on. Deonte Johnson, love the value, 601. Hollywood, very standard. Aaron Jones, standard. Garrett Wilson, Devonta Smith, Treylon Burks, Elijah Moore, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. Out of this range, I love me some Treylon Burks value. Now, with Treylon Burks, this is a wide receiver that is stepping into a very good situation in Tennessee. There's no competition for targets. At the very beginning of the offseason, he was our wide receiver 1. Of course, we updated that right before the NFL draft. He was our wide receiver 3 in this rookie class. But still, overall, to get the value here among these other options, like going back-to-back with Elijah Moore, who, yeah, had a good rookie season, but now we know Elijah Moore is pretty much pegged to be the wide receiver 2 in this offense at the very best. And on top of it, the situation in terms of the quarterback play, the quarterback efficiency, I know a lot of people want to assume that Zach Wilson's going to take a large step forward this upcoming season. Even if he takes a large step forward, he probably is not where Ryan Tannehill has been over the past 3 seasons in his overall career efficiency. I don't think the quarterback plays that different between the two. I am going to prefer Treylon Burks as a talent as well. So great pick on Treylon Burks. Then Winston at the 6'10". Now this is something I don't understand whatsoever. Oh my. I'm sorry to be an ass, but with Winston here at the 6'10", you are looking at a quarterback that, while yes, does have upside. In 2019, he led the NFL in passing yards. In 2019, he was second in passing touchdowns. But if we head over to Underdog Fantasy, you're looking at a quarterback that's being drafted as a low-end QB2. And he is now in the bucket of year-to-year starter. We don't know if he has a job in 2023. It's entirely possible. Oh, no, Winston doesn't have a job. They end up bringing in Jimmy Garoppolo. They end up bringing in Baker Mayfield. It's entirely possible that Jameis Winston is not a starting quarterback in 2023. So if we are going to be taking a one-year player, why aren't we taking someone that projects to be better this upcoming season? Why don't we take someone like Kirk Cousins? Why don't we take someone like Tom Brady? Like, I can't get behind this Winston selection, especially not when there are guys like Jacobs, David Montgomery still available. I'm not a big fan of that one. And then the rest at the turn, very standard. I think the next pick that stands out for us is going to be the Amari Cooper selection at the 706. I think if you could go back in a time machine, obviously you're preferring Mike Williams over Amari Cooper here. I mean, with Mike Williams, he projects better this upcoming season as a better long-term situation. And that with Amari Cooper, we don't even know if he'll be on the Cleveland Browns in 2023, where Mike Williams got that contract extension with Justin Herbert. So that Mike Williams pick may be the best pick that we have seen in this draft so far, especially with this format. James Cook goes directly after. While James Cook will be in a very nice situation in Buffalo next year with no Devin Singletary under contract, you got to take Chris Olave here. Chris Olave is so much better of a player overall. Kirk Cousins, great value. And I will point out, if you're going to take veteran running backs, do what Zach did here. If you want running backs that are going to put points up on the board and you're going to get a discount with their age, instead of taking Christian McCaffrey at the 301, instead of taking Austin Eckler at the 311, why are we taking Eckler at the 311 when you can get Leonard Fournette at the 7-8 turn? They project similarly over the next 2 years. And beyond that, they don't have much value. So you almost have to treat it like a redraft mindset. So I love, Zachary killed this draft. Leonard Fournette there at the end of the 7th. Really like the Kirk Cousins selection. Really like the Clyde Edwards-Helaire pick. CH, obviously in a good situation this year. Maybe they bring in someone in the long term, but still incredibly young. Drafted in 2020 at 21 years old. Let's move on. Christian Watson, Sky Moore. Love the rookie value. Love the Darnell Mooney value as well. Outside of that, Gabriel Davis, a nice pick. George Pickens looks a little rich for me, but I will say post Dylan, he does crush me in a lot of these dynasty leagues, so it's hard for me to talk down on his selections too much. Batmac makes a great pick of Amon-Ra St. Brown at the 8-12, even if St. Brown's role goes down in this offense, still a good value. Dallas Goedert, 901. Courtland Sutton, I know a ton of people are going to scream best pick in the draft, I'll say. A palatable price point. If you were going to draft Courtland Sutton, the 903 is not a bad spot to do it. And if we just continue to move on down this board, I don't like the Dameon Pierce selection. With Dameon Pierce, I think that you could have waited a little bit longer. I prefer a lot of these other players, to be honest. DeAndre Hopkins, a good win now pick. Kadarius Toney's the next pick I think I could get really excited about. Kadarius Toney, if we go through and if we look at his yards per route run, the man was, I don't want to say an elite rookie wide receiver, but he flashed an insane amount of talent. Let me pull up our draft guide so we can actually reference this real quick and know exactly where he stacks up. But if we look at the receivers to have more yards per route run than Kadarius Toney this past season, Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel, Devontae Adams, Antonio Brown, Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, Deontay Harris, Jamar Chase, Tyler Lockett, T. Higgins, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb. That is the list. I mean, taking Kadarius Toney here at the 10-12, a fantastic selection. I would have taken him before John Mechie, before David Bell, before Christian Kirk. Great pick there. Moving on, I like the quarterbacks in this range. If you're going to get someone like Jared Goff at the 12-04, Daniel Jones at the 12-02. Overall, I think this was a very good draft board. There weren't too many picks that I completely disagree with. I think the Jameis Winston selection, I'm not a big fan of, but a lot of these other wide receiver picks, I think these rookie receivers were massive values. I just think some of the veteran running backs later on, not the guys at the beginning of the draft like the Austin Eckler or the Dalvin Cook, but the veteran running backs later on like Leonard Fournette, like David Montgomery, Josh Jacobs, those were the values of the running back position. Based on how the draft board shaped up, I think it would have been nice to take those quarterbacks early, especially before the drop off in tiers. But I think that should be it. I want to give a shout out to everybody who was a part of this draft that let me use this draft board. Thank you all for all being a part of the flock. Thank you, Zachary, for running this league for us over there on Locals. And that's all I got for y'all. If you enjoyed it, go down there, drop a like. If you didn't enjoy it, hell, go scream at me in the comment section telling me how much of an idiot I am. I value your opinion. That's all I got for you. I hope you have a great day and hope we get to see you with the video tomorrow.